words. Beautiful day, sunny day outside. And I think that's sun in our hearts as well. So
beautiful, beautiful.
I wish to all of you very nice day.
Very good. Thank you very much, Ira. You're always a very positive person, so that's important to share. Okay, so our colleagues from the STU are here. I think that we can start. Under our agenda, we'll have the opening meeting and so on. So I would like to give the floor to Eduarda. Eduarda, please, some very nice starting words with microphone on.
Hello, welcome to everybody. The last two days were very were wonderful. I hope it continues today and tomorrow, and we can start now.
Thank you very much, Eduarda.
It's too earlier to speak.
Thank you very much. So basically, as you know, we have this session dedicated to training. Some of the trainees are with us today. This is an overlapping process with the trainees, which means that they already started 2 days ago working hard. Some of them are really looking worried. We can see them around here. But more than that, I think this is an opportunity to keep on improving engineering education and to improve the pedagogics also from our own engineer professors. So I think that as it's written here, we'll have a wonderful day also of work. We will, under the project which is now achieved 1.5 years, so it means that we are quite in the middle of the project life, but at the same time we show already a lot of results, not just through the iPad courses definition, scheduling, and now train the training, but also in terms of the standards. So I would like all of you to engage today in all the discussions that we're going to have to make sure that we keep on improving this process. And of course, allow me to give a special thank you to Don State University, because they were great in changing also the process which there should be live into an online event. Although we did not have the opportunity at this moment to visit their installations, they managed to give us a beautiful virtual tour and show them that it showed us that this is the right place to go. So we hope that once we pass this limitation, please make sure you write your name and affiliation in the chat and participate actively in all the discussions. So thank you very much, colleagues from Don State. You have the floor.
Thank you, Jose. Good morning, dear colleagues. It is my pleasure to welcome you at the second day of our conference. Can you hear me well?
Not yet.
Микрофон включите.
Микрофон надо именно у нас.
Микрофон у вас выключен.
Well, usually it's better, but not always. Sometimes when you're saying bad things, it's better the microphone is off. But in this case, I know that she's saying very good things. So let's make over. Please go on.
Thank you. Good morning, dear colleagues. It is my pleasure to welcome you at the second day of our online meeting. And today we start with the opening ceremony. And traditionally, I would like to give the floor to the opening speech of Rector of Don State Technical University, Bessarion Chihoevich Meschi.
Dear guests and colleagues, today we give a start to the international online event of Erasmus Plus project ENTER. The project is aimed at one of the most important issues of our days, engineering educators' pedagogical training. We welcome our partners from Portugal, Slovakia, Estonia, Russia and Kazakhstan. Unfortunately, we communicate via the internet only, but we do our best to show you as much as possible. You have already seen our campus, talked to the deans of engineering faculties, and visited innovative institute, school and technoparks. Today, DSTU is one of the leading Russian universities for engineering education. So it is our priority to make a team of super educators capable to implement study programs of the highest quality. These days we face new challenge caused by the pandemic, and we have to be flexible, make our work life digital, find new opportunities for collaboration. I wish success to Enter project, and on behalf of Don State Technical University, I would like to invite all our partners to visit Rostov region and our university. Welcome and good luck.
On behalf of our rector, I am authorized to give the regards and wish the success to all the participants of Enter project. The engineering educators is a key priority and strategic issue for our university. And today we all will be talking about that. And the main thing also is to ensure the quality of engineering educator training. In Rostov-on-Don, we have the representatives both of Don State Technical University and Bologna Club, the Association for International Education Support. It is my honor today to give the floor to the president of Bologna Club in Russian Federation, Svetlana Shvedova.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's a great pleasure to have a meeting today with you face to face. So we know that now it's a very difficult time for many people, for many countries, because coronavirus is a great challenge for everybody now. But I'd like to say today some words about the Bologna Club. This year is a very remarkable year for our association. 10 years ago, Don State Technical University was founded the Bologna Club, and now we have 27 universities from different parts of Russia and in other countries who gathered together in order to provide the Bologna principles, the new approaches and innovative tools for and methodology for the higher professional education. As for us, we have a great opportunity to participate in such very important project as Enter, because to build up the new generation of future engineers, it's a great idea. And it seems to me that our project and all our efforts will be strengthened in order to bring up the new generation of engineers as superheroes. Thank you very much, but I seem to me that looking forward, we are meeting, gathering together in Rostov-on-Don, and we will have all opportunities to demonstrate you all our facilities and to demonstrate our achievements and different projects. But thank you very much for the solidarity and many happy returns. Thank you.
For the universities in Russia, nowadays, the new education, providing the education of high quality, is a strategic and priority issues. And now I would like to give the floor to the head of International Strategy Department, Lev Gurtskoy.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, dear colleagues. It's a great pleasure for me to welcome participants of Enter project. It is a good opportunity for us to exchange our experience, to exchange our knowledge, to find new solutions. And Don State Technical University is Don State Technical University has a special focus on capacity building. We are, our main goal and strategic goal is to provide effective engineering education to our students, not only for today's life, but for the future. So our students should find their places in 5, 10, 20 years. So, and it's impossible without qualified and top educators of engineering disciplines. So these students could be able to transfer today's knowledge to their future innovations, to their future creations, and it's impossible therefore to use today's methods, today's measures, because even today or in the future they will be insufficient. I would like to emphasize once again that there is a great demand in engineering educators. The educator himself should be a top engineer with innovative approaches, and I am grateful for all experts who are here today during this week for their experience, for their knowledge, and we are sure that this event will be very fruitful and will bring a lot and will make future life of our future generations more safe technologically, and for sure we are waiting all of you in Rostov. Maybe we hope that it will be soon. Wish you good luck and success. Thank you.
Thank you. And today we are here to ensure the quality of study programs that will ensure that future engineer has a space to be creative and to promote all his talents, to invent, to make his ideas true. So now let me say that our work day is open. Thank you very much to all the support that John State Technical University Administration gives to the project. And according to our schedule, now 5 minutes break, technical one, and we will start working. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Irina. May I propose that all of us unmute our microphones and give a big applause to Don State Technical University? Can you please unmute all the... I think I can also do that. So.
Можно на русском поприветствовать?
Конечно. У нас пока маленький...
Я рад всех видеть. Ну, я вижу, что большая часть по-русски умеет говорить. И Квадратов и тот понимает.
Да, конечно. Все понимает.
Я рад всех видеть. Я, к сожалению, вчера не мог принять участие. Мария принимала, а сегодня я что-то Марию не вижу здесь.
Мы тоже ее пока не видим, и надеемся, что она скоро появится.
So Maria is now in troubles because her boss did not see her here working.
Юрий Петрович, ну вот вы видите, мы параллельно с этим мероприятием у нас проходит не только проектная встреча, но и тренинг, поэтому вы можете здесь видеть знакомые вам новые и старые лица одновременно, потому что у нас есть много людей, экспертов АИОР и КАСЕ.
Я вижу, что вот Игорь Муравлев присоединился.
Да. Олег Леонидович Хасанов из ТПУ здесь, и наши девушки из Агрицентра, из Казахстана, много экспертов КАСЕ. Так что мы...
I believe Irina wants to say something.
Yes, Jose, I wanted to ask you to change the order of your presentation because I cannot see Jens Bennetson right now.
We still have time. Wait, we still have time. Give it 10 more minutes. It's important also this period where we can do some networking in itself. It's something we are now missing in the conferences because there are online conferences, no time to discuss. For instance, you looked like you were the Eurovision Song Contest presenter with a beautiful dress and making the presentation. So every time you do this kind of approach, I feel like I want to say 12 points to Russia. So it's...
Thank you. Well, then let's continue our discussion and we will start at 10:30 as it is planned, right?
Yes, exactly.
Okay,
so don't
you.
worry, because it's important that people also get together in these events. Events is not just about listening, it's also about participating, giving some of the feelings which they have and so on. For instance, we have some trainers here, which by the moment have already, have already experienced some of the our accreditation standards, criteria, and they've been working on that. Do you want to express some feelings on that? Any of you want to say something? You can do it in Russian as well, so do not worry. Not all at the same time. Shall we nominate a volunteer to give some words on this? Well, I think Alexander from the STU can be the victim, right? You want to give some words on this?
Александр Тимофеевич, прокомментируйте нам ваши впечатления от того, что вы присоединились к проекту и от первых 2 дней тренинга.
We just nominate you as volunteer.
Мы вас, да, волонтером от команды тренинга.
Спасибо. Мне очень интересный проект, интересные задачи решаются. Но пока, к сожалению, я подключился именно на последних 2 днях, а не раньше. Поэтому особо прокомментировать не могу, но очень интересно. Спасибо.
Спасибо.
Thank you very much. What about Lubov from TPU? Come on, some comments, please. And be careful, your boss is watching.
I know, that's frightening a little bit. I don't know what to say, just I'm very pleased to be part of this event. That's the first experience of mine, like of that kind. And I'm more like a listener in this event because due to lack of knowledge and experience in the field. But I'm very open, and so I think I will gain a lot of new skills and a lot of new knowledge due to this event. So, and with your help, of course. So I don't know. What else should I say?
No, it's perfect. Okay, you did it. You're safe. What about from Kazakhstan? Any comments? Someone from Kazakhstan? We have Jen's here. Good morning, Jen. Welcome. Well, you're still ahead of time. But now that we are in the age of this online thing, we do things much faster. So we are now trying to use the space to do some networking, which is an important element of the conference, which we are missing. So anyone from Kazakh before Jens can start?
It's Svetlana, can you hear me?
Yeah, not really. Where are you, Svetlana?
Well, I'm on my way to work.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why there could be some additional sound. Well, I'd like to say, like Lyubov, it's my first time experience in such kind of big projects, and I'm very grateful to Jacques Philippe to ask me and to invite me to this participation. I hope we will succeed, and thank you for everything. That's what I want to say.
Спасибо большое, Svetlana. So, Irina, you have the floor again, and you probably want to introduce our guests for the CDIO.
Yes, thank you, Jose. And well, today for us is a very special day, at least for me, because we have today one more expert in our community. It's Jens Bennettson, who is a co-leader for European part of CDIO, the World Initiative for creating new engineers, new makers of the future. And for us, it is also a special day because Donsey Technical University joined CDIO in 2014. It was in Chalmers, the ceremony of presentation our university. And since that year, we are providing and promoting the CDIO principles into engineering education at our university. It is my pleasure also to say that our project is also very interested and involved in CDIO ideas. So today I would like to give the floor to Jens Bennettson and thank him from all of us for joining our day. Jens?
Yes, thanks a lot. Hopefully you can hear me all the way from Denmark. If I speak too fast or not loud enough, just shout and I'll try to speak a little slower. And thanks a lot for the invitation. It's really a pleasure to say something about engineering education, something that I have personally been involved in for pretty many years. I'm from Ojs University in Denmark. We joined CDIO in 2011, so it's almost 10 years since we joined CDIO. Our rationale back then for joining CDIO was that we saw it as two things. First of all, a very good network to share and discuss ideas, and secondly, as a very good language, so to speak, to help us when we try to describe what we are doing in our engineering education. So I'll try to share my presentations. Hopefully I can do that in a minute.
Well, Jens, just so for you to have an idea, we are 4 minutes ahead, so take your time, okay?
Sure.
Use it as you want. We don't want anyone which is just waiting to come on a German time just to listen to you, to miss some of your important words. So take your time.
I'll just keep paddling, as we say here.
Exactly, perfect.
So as I said, we joined CDIO in 2011. Back then, the engineering education here in Aarhus was actually divided in two institutions. One called the School of Engineering, and then we had the university. And a couple of years after, actually 1 year after, in 2012, the School of Engineering and the university merged. So now the university has engineering as one of the 5 faculties. Just this year, or starting this year, we had, prior to that, we have a faculty of science and technology. Now we have two faculties, one of natural sciences, and then we have another faculty of technical sciences. So I am at the faculty of technical sciences, where all the engineering is. We're also currently involved in some other organizational changes at the department level. So that's another interesting process that I will not use your time to talk about. But one of the things that we could talk a little bit about, or I could tell a little bit about, is in the Danish context, we have what is called a professional bachelor's degree, which is one of the three degrees that you can get from the university. A professional bachelor is a bachelor degree in engineering, but it also contains some mandatory internship. So our professional bachelor students, they have half a year where they are in internship in industry. So the model is that they have 2 years at the university, then they're out in industry in an internship where they are what we call junior engineers in half a year, and then they come back to the university for the last year. And then they have, of course, the possibility to go up to industry, or they can continue on their master program. We also have what I call normal bachelor degrees, where the internship is not part of the structure and of the education that people take.
So Jens, thank you for peddling. You go ahead.
Yeah, thanks.
Great job, great job.
Then we have a couple of different ways that students can enter. We have an admission course, so people who have who are carpenters or electricians or something like that, they can take some kind of special course, typically lasts a year, where they will learn high school mathematics, high school Danish, high school physics, high school chemistry, and then they can enter typically our professional bachelor's degree. So we have about 20% of our bachelor students who are what we call non-normal students, not good students, but they are just different because they have this background where they have been out in industry and working, and then they come to the university afterwards. So that is actually having both the traditional students who have gone through primary school and secondary school and now entering the university, and then combine those with students who have this more practical background and then have this admission course, is really making a great learning opportunities for all the students, because the one with the practical background, they can say, well, that's probably not going to work in reality, rather because then we have these kind of different things. So hopefully I have been paddling enough.
Perfect. And actually the peer learning is a very good subject. Thank you very much, Jens. Go on.
It's 9:30 Danish time, probably 10:30 Moscow time, as far as I know. And thanks a lot for helping me with my math, because I had added 1 hour instead of subtracting 1 hour. So that was thanks a lot for that, Irina. So let me talk a little bit about CDIO and what it is. And as far as I understand, this is also a lot of focus on quality enhancement, quality improvement. So I'll also talk a little bit about ways that we have been using CDIO to make quality enhancement, quality improvements, not so much quality assessment in the light of CDIO. So I'll try to do a little thing here, if I can. Boom, 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 boom. I just need a second screen. Sorry for a little technical hiccup here, perhaps.
Murphy's Law.
Oh, well, it's more like I need to find out how to share the right screen. So, then here, and then...
You should select share screen and after...
Yeah, I know.
Choose the window. You need to choose the window you want to...
Yeah. I'm just trying to, while in full screen mode, trying to find the Zoom application. Here we are, hopefully. Wow, now we're hopefully you can see my screen now.
Perfect.
Is that right? Cool. And then just click here and here. Okay, so as I said, I'd like to talk a little bit about CDIO. One of the nice things about CDIO is pretty easy to remember because it's conceive, design, implement, operate, which of course tries to mimic the way that we see engineers work. They try to figure out what it is that they're going to do. They design the solution, they implement it, and then they operate it. And operate also includes kind of taking things out of operation. So that's kind of the life cycle of typical ways that engineers and others work. So that's what I'd like to talk a little bit about today. And as I said, my name is Jens Bennetsen. I'm one of the three co-leaders of the European region in CDIO. We are divided into a region. I'll talk a little bit more about that. So apart from focusing on CDIO, I'm head of one of the pedagogical units, as we call them, at the university, the unit at the natural sciences and technical sciences faculty. So what I do is a lot of development of our academics teaching competences. So that's kind of my professional work. So if we focus a little bit about CDIO, the goal of CDIO is trying to make institutions or help institutions in setting up educational programs where kind of the goal is, as it's said here, to educate students who understand how to conceive, design, implement, operate complex value-added engineering systems in a modern team-based engineering environment. So that's kind of the goal of CDIO, to have people to come together to discuss and figure out, well, how can we change, modify, optimize, you call it what you like, our engineering programs, so that the engineers, what I typically say is, we will have graduated or graduates, engineers who know how to engineer, because engineering is not just knowing about your mathematics or knowing about your thermodynamics. It's also knowing a lot about how to do it, how to conceive your ideas, how to design the stuff, how to implement it, not only in a technical sense, but also knowing that, well, the technical thing is, of course, one very important aspect, but it's also important to consider, well, how is it going to fit into the kind of organizational structure where this invention or this design that we have done is going to be. So that's the idea of CDIO, to try to help others to do that. So the vision of a CDIO-based education is, as we said here, we are not trying to revolutionize study program. We have kind of the idea that you could evolve the study program so that they have, as said here, a curriculum organized around supporting courses, and that's typically what we normally know as courses, but with CIO activities highly interwoven, and I will get back to that with respect to what we see in CDIO as kind of the normal structure of a study program. So CDIO focus a lot on people who are developing study programs, involving study programs and stuff like that. Not so much on the individual teacher, but more on people with people who have a study program design responsibility. Then we have and focus on student design, build, test projects, so that they will actually do something, they will build it, and they will test it. And of course, that does not mean that it all has to be some physical thing. You could also design an artifact. You could design a report. You could design something, but you also have to put that artifact into kind of operation. Then we focus on what we call professional skills, and I'll also get a little bit back to that. Professional skills being, for example, teamwork and communication. That's an important part of an education. So you have to have that integrated into your curriculum. And again, it's very important that the students see that as well. That's part of the core thing that you need to know as an engineer. You need to know how to do teamwork. You need to know how to do communication. So you have to integrate that into the typical subjects that you have. Then we also are stressing that, well, if you do something, if you want to have students actually learn, then we know from a lot of research, well, if you do it in an active and experimental way, then the students will learn better. So we're also trying to stress that, well, we need to have active and experimental learning, not just something like we're doing now, some old gray-haired man talking about something where people are just listening. And sorry for not involving you more than I would like to do. And then we have, as I said, we have a quality assurance process where the aims are not accreditation, but actually quality enhancement. So it's not quality accreditation, and I'll get a little bit back to that. So CDIO started some years ago, around 2000 or 1999, where 5 institutions and the Wallenberg Foundation, they found out that, well, if we look at engineering education, then it started out in practice. But then slowly it got more and more kind of fed with traditional university values. So we had a lot of more technical knowledge, which was given on kind of, and not focusing so much on what we call professional personal and interpersonal competences. So it kind of became more like a traditional physics way of seeing, at least what we see here in Aarhus in our education at the natural sciences. They focus extremely much on the subject and not so much on the practice of doing the subject. So that was kind of the starting point, that these institutions found out that, well, we should try to do something with respect to that. We should still keep the technical knowledge as a very important thing. We're not saying that students should not be able to differentiate or whatever it is in their math courses, but we also need to integrate, not separately, so we do not need courses that focus on personal competences or interpersonal competences, but we need to integrate them. So starting from that, we try to kind of move a little up from not just focusing on technical knowledge, but also focusing on the personal, interpersonal, and professional competences. Back in 2007, Honor here was trying to look broadly on what was kind of reported from the industry and others who employ engineers on the competences that they needed. And then he tried to map those on the ABIT criteria back then. And the interesting thing here is, of course, that, well, if we look at what students need, then it's problem solving, it's communication, it's ethics that are on the high. It's not engineering tools or math, science, and engineering, which is kind of the core subjects. I'm not saying that they do not, and again, they do not need that, but they also need to be able to be good to communicate. They also need to be able to solve the problem in a real world, solve the problem in a way that, well, they can actually go out and implement that design that they have made in reality. So that's kind of just saying that, well, as educators, we need to be aware of the two demands that we have, both on kind of the technical subjects, but also on these problem solving, communication, whatnot, that we need to help our students to be able to do. If we look a little bit about CDIO, then you can see it's a worldwide organization. It's divided into, as we talked about, divided into regions. We are the European region, which is Russia, a lot of European countries, and Iceland, and Dunstate, somewhere down here. Then we have the UK-Ireland region, we have the Asian region, we have the Australian and New Zealand region, we have the South American region, and we have the North American region. So around 180 institutions are members of the CDIO community, and that means that they have one or more educations where they try to do it in what we call the CDIO way, and I'll get a little back to what that means. As you can see, it's also pretty dominated in Europe. It started with 4 institutions in Sweden and 1 in United States. So it's a lot of Europeans who can see themselves in CDIO as a way of describing what it is. And then what we also see is a lot of institutions in Asia, especially that are interested in CDIO. And having this worldwide perspective is really interesting, because then we can discuss a lot about what we do and how we set up our educational programs in very different contexts, because of course it's a very different context to do something in Asia rather than do something in Europe. We have a lot of different kind of surrounding or bounding criteria that we have to do. So what is a CDIO education or a CDIO program? Well, we try to put it this way, saying that, well, we do have what we call a strict disciplinary curriculum. So we have kind of the blue here, we have the subject matters, and they are kind of defining the progress in our curriculum. So that's what I call a typical, at least in Ojs University case, a typical natural sciences or other programs that they have. People are extremely focused on, well, they need to be experts in that subject area, so they really need to be experts in physics, and that means that they will have to learn the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth about the relevant subject matters. And that's kind of defining the structure. It's also typically what we see that that people do. Well, they defined the curriculum based on what is the content, what is the relevant subject content that the students need to know. Then on the right hand, we have what one could call an apprenticeship model, which of course is what, at least in Denmark, many carpenters, for example, do. They come out and work together with their apprentice, and then they are up working and they will help to do something. This is typically also what we do when people are moving up and becoming more researchers. Then they are part of a research group, they follow that research group, and then they try to figure out, well, what is it that we should do? So that's another way of organizing your curriculum. You organize it around typical ways that people work, and then we have a more kind of work-based learning environment. Then we have in the middle to the right, we have what we typically call a problem-based curriculum. So instead of as the blue one is, then the brown one, it's the problems that kind of defines the learning material, the learning experiences that the students have to do, and then we intervene with that different subject areas and different disciplines intervened in that. So that's typically what we see. If I move 100 kilometers north of here, we have Aalborg University. They are a problem-based university where they have the problems on each semester, and that's kind of defining what it is that the students will learn. So the learning outcomes is much dependent on the actual problem, and then there's typically something that we need to help them with. So we'll define some supporting courses that kind of helps them with their differential equations or whatnot. And then we have the green. Of course, CDIO is also involved in sustainability, and I'll get back to that. So that's why it's green. No, I don't know if that's the reason. There we still are saying, well, they need to do something. So they have disciplines that they need to have, but we have skills and projects interwoven. So we do something, we do our thermodynamics course, but they have projects in that thermodynamics course, and they perhaps make a presentation so that they will do and learn something about communication. They will learn how to make a report and go into some kind of manager, present that report and saying, well, this is what we found out when we did that. They will have to figure out, well, what will it cost to actually manufacture those 200,000 numbers of that design that they have made. So trying to integrate the skills and projects that are needed to be an engineer into the disciplinary curriculum. That's kind of the overarching idea of a CDIO program. So that means that CDIO has described what we call a syllabus. So trying to describe what is personal, professional skills and attributes, stuff like that. So we have 4 kind of core areas. We of course has the disciplinary knowledge and reasoning. So as I said, we're not saying that people should not know about thermodynamics or something like that. They still need to know that, and it still needs to play an important role in the curriculum. But we also have these three other elements that needs to be integrated into our curriculum. And that is these professional and personal skills, these interpersonal skills, teamwork and communication, as we talked about, and then these professional skills, or as we call it in CDIO, the conceive, design, implement, and operate. They should be able to do that, to do that in the enterprise, societal, and environmental context. So they need to know how to conceive, design, implement, both with respect to the societal level, but also with respect to the enterprise level. And we have a syllabus describing, well, what could one see as personal and professional skills. So if we want to look into that, there is a Russian translation on this website. Of course, the disciplinary knowledge has a lot to do with the disciplining. So it's not describing what should be in a computer engineer or a chemical engineer. So that's typically left out. There are some kind of general things that people should be able to know something about math, because that's typically in all engineering educations. So that's part of the core idea of CDIO, the syllabus, and then the second part is the standards. So again, we are engineers, so we have defined 12 core standards, trying to say, well, what is it that you should focus upon when trying to make this your CDIO engineering education. So these 12 standards, and you can also read about that on the website. And for each of these 12 standards, we have a rubric. So the idea is that the study program should be able to self-evaluate their program on, well, how much, on what level are we here? So it's a typical capability maturity model that we have with from level 0 saying, well, we have no plan or activity related to the standard, to level 5 where it's a continuous improvement process. So that's kind of the standard rubric that we have, and of course they are then described with respect to the 12 standards. So what does it mean to have active learning or an integrated curriculum or something like that, and how can you kind of self-evaluate and see how you can improve on that part. So another way to see this is, of course, that, well, you're on level 1. You know this is something, so, and then you're on level 2, and then you're on level 3, and then you're on level 4, and then you're on level 5, and the continuous process typical will help you saying, well, something I need to implement again. So you will actually have some kind of moving from level 4 to level 5. And if we translate that to CDIO terms, one could say that level 1 is conceive, level 2 is design, so you'll try to design something to do something. You're implementing, and on level 4 and 5 you're operating. And if we try to be a little more concrete, then this is the rubric for, or at least it was in what we call standard 2.1. We're right now on standard 3, and it's not fully implemented yet. So this is kind of the description of standard 8, active learning. So as we talked about, 0 is there's nothing, and 5 is we have some evidence related to active learning, and that's regularly reviewed and used to make improvement. And then you take your study program and figure out, well, yes, we actually have something. So we are at least on level 0. We also have awareness of we need to do something. We also have a plan. We also actually have implemented the plan somewhat, but it's not fully implemented. So that typical study program is on level 3 in this case. So it's a hierarchical thing, these rubrics. So that typical, that particular study program will be on level 3. And of course, as I said, this is not accreditation. So we use it for quality enhancement. So it's done by the people who are interested in enhancing the quality of the study program. Typically, the study program responsible and a couple of core teachers, they sit down and do something about it. So one of my very good friends, Juha Kontio from Turku, they did that sometimes, and for a typical study program. And what they saw, well, standard 1 was, as you can see here, in 2006, there was no awareness. And then in 2010, that have raised to level 3, meaning that, well, there is an implementation of the plan on the way across the program, and then what they should do. So that they used it, as I said, as something that they could kind of use as a quality enhancement process, focusing on what to do. So they developed the curricula, they renovated their workspaces, they focused on teaching via learning outcomes, they did some training in assessment, stuff like that. So that was the basement of their interventions into what they should do at an organizational level. We have also used it in collaboration between universities. So here we have the university, Queen's University of in Belfast, and then we have Umeå University in Sweden. So the red one, this is from a little other project, so it's only the first 12 that kind of corresponds to a CDIO criteria. Then we had other criteria like student, how to attract students and stuff like that, how to support students, student support structures, which is not core CDIO standards. And what they did, these two institutions, was that they self-evaluated their programs, and then they compared, and then they figured out, well, it would be interesting for Umeå, for Queen's to talk to Umeå about standard 1, 2, and 3, because their Umeå and that particular program are doing very well, so they could try to get together and discuss and involve, well, what are you doing? What is the ideas that you have? How can we kind of take that back to our own context? So again, CDIO is a lot about sharing, a lot about inspiring each other, and that's, again, the standard is a typical tool for doing that. CDIO.
1 minute, Jens.
I know, I have 1 minute left. CDIO has, as I said, updated the standards, so now we have core standards and we have optional standards. So the 12 that we're talking about is optional standards. They have been updated right now with sustainability, digitalization, and focusing a lot on services, and also focusing more on faculty competences. So it's a continuous improvement process, these standards. So I think I'll shut up. If you need to know more, the website, cdio.org, is a very good start. If you need to know a little bit more about this using CDIO as a quality enhancement process, I, together with some of my good colleagues, have written an article where we try to elaborate a little on how we do that. So thanks a lot for keeping quiet for such a long time.
Jens, may I make you a question?
Sure.
CDIO favors study of how to do it through Capstone's project. For example, now with this COVID pandemic, how do you think this problem can be solved? We don't know when we are going to stop these online lessons. Especially in chemical, geotechnical, electrical, mechanical. Here at ISEP, every students have a lot of capstone projects in laboratory. You have any ideas or to CDIO answer this question?
Yeah, it is, of course, it is a problem because we cannot, we have had the same issues here because we cannot have the students in typical labs. So some of the ways that that it has been solved is trying to make change projects from, well, they have to be very physical, they have to create something very physical, to more saying they have to create a digital artifact of that. So an example was that in aerospace engineering down in Delft, they changed one of their projects from actually making some wing for an electrical wind turbine, and now they made a model of that, and they could test that in as a model, and then they actually also had the possibility of creating that model in a 3D printer, which could be remotely used, so they could upload their file, and then they described to the technicians who was in the lab how they would like to test that wing. So what would they do? What forces would they put on the wing? And then he did that, collected the data from the sensors, and then sent that data back to the students, and they analyzed it. So that was an example of trying to say, well, we need to do something more in the digital space rather than in the physical space. And of course, this means that, well, the students do not get so much hand-on experience, but on the other hand, they get other experience which is very relevant for engineers who are coming out in industry now.
Thank you very much, Jens. So I think we have no time for more questions, but in any case, you did a great job. And just to making a bridge to our project, the Enter project is mostly focused on standard 10, okay, enhancing the pedagogical of the educators, and this is what we've been doing, and through making the accreditation onto it. So thank you very much. So Irina, you have the floor.
Thank you, Jens. On behalf of Density Technical University, which is the host of online conference, online meeting today, I would like also to express many thanks to you for your coming to us, for your presenting CDIO and joining our community. And now I think I should give back the floor to José, because it is his word right now. And we're looking forward to know about Enter network design.
Take care. Have a super conference. It was a pleasure being able to actually participate. So that's kind of the good things in this pandemic area. That, well, if I should have been flying to Don State, that would not have been possible. So thanks a lot.
Thank you very much. You're welcome to join us if you want to the rest of the process, but I understand if you cannot. Okay, yeah, bye-bye.
Thank you a lot. So take care and have a super interesting project.
Bye. See you later. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Okay, so it's my turn. So my job here is much easier because I'm already talking to a lot of people who knows about the Enter network projects and the network design. However, I think it is the time, and especially because we have also the trainees here, to try to clarify some of the elements which this consortium, all these project partners have been developing in the recent years, well, last year. So first of all, just a quick view. These are all the partners of the project. As you can see, very diverse. They come from Porto, the westmost, to TPU, Tom's Polytechnic University, which is the eastmost. And we started from the beginning with the concept that we wanted to have something which would be innovative. Remember what happened when we got together? So precisely this kind of active methods that we implied had to do something with thinking out of the box, how the things can actually operate and to work in terms of the new educators. Oh, sorry, once is enough. Okay, let's continue to the next one. So at that time, we find out about the important things and the innovative character should be seen at 3 different levels in terms of content, methodology, and the pedagogical teaching and learning outcomes delivered. So these were the global process. And at that time, we divided in creating some of these programs, but at the same time, looking how to make the accreditation of this process. Ksenia, do you want to do some brief summarizing in Russian, please, if you can?
Да. Уважаемые коллеги, учитывая, что эта презентация важна нам и для задач тренинга, поэтому мы будем делать небольшие комментарии на русском. Профессор Квадрадо нам представил коротко консорциум проекта, который вы, в принципе, уже успели увидеть. Основные партнеры — это университеты Европы, 3 университета, и российские партнеры, и казахские партнеры. Основная задача проекта Enter была изначально сфокусирована на том, что мы должны достичь высокого уровня качества программ повышения квалификации для педагогов инженерных дисциплин. И в связи с этим основным фокусом была разработка инновационных подходов для подобных программ повышения квалификации. И основное внимание в проекте изначально мы собирались уделить и продолжаем уделять содержанию, методологии, подходам в обучении и результатам обучения.
Thank you very much, Ksenia. But more important than all of this, we actually developed a system which is actually been growing and being more clarified in terms of making sure we have a system which is simple, service-based, so no profit-based, and it can ensure the quality assurance of all kinds of participants in this process. So this is a very simple block scheme. Well, we are engineers, so we like to make these block diagrams to explain everything. So we started by having the Enter Quality Assurance Standards, which is basically the reason why we are here today with the trainees and all of that. They will be used by the accreditation agency that will have their own version, which had to be aligned with these ones, and they will use it to do the accreditation of the professional development programs, engineer educators professional development programs.
May I now make a comment?
Yes, please. Yes, please.
Учитывая, что многие из нас, из участников, являются инженерами, поэтому мы решили представить вам основную схему проекта и идей проекта в виде такой блочно-модульной схемы, в котором центральное место занимают как раз стандарты обеспечения качества, с которыми вы успели познакомиться за первые 2 дня нашей проектной встречи. Данные стандарты были разработаны в консорциуме проекта Enter, а затем они становятся как некими требованиями, которые должны быть использованы аккредитационными агентствами, которые собираются аккредитовывать на международном уровне программы повышения квалификации.
Okay, thank you very much. So these programs, once they are accredited, the accreditation agency will send it to the Enter register and they issue the Enter label. This label, which means that all the programs, these professional development programs for engineer educators, will be a part of a list of accredited professional development programs.
Те образовательные программы повышения квалификации, которые смогут пройти аккредитацию, затем получат так называемый знак качества Enter, который будет разработан и будет впервые представлен в рамках проекта Enter. Те программы, которые получат данный знак качества, будут затем внесены в список аккредитованных программ повышения квалификации, и данный список будет вестись с регистром Enter на международном уровне.
So at the same time, the graduates of this Engineer Educators Professional Development Program will be able to, with their certificate, to apply for be members of the Enter Register, which means be part of the list of professional engineering educators.
Но на этом идея проекта Enter не заканчивается, и поэтому предусмотрена не только программная аккредитация, но и персональная аккредитация выпускников тех программ повышения квалификации, которые получили международную аккредитацию. Выпускники данных программ, получив сертификат о прохождении подобного рода повышения квалификации, смогут заявиться в международный регистр Enter для того, чтобы стать частью и быть внесенными в реестр профессиональных педагогов инженерных дисциплин на международном уровне.
So as you can see, the concept here is to separate completely those who give the program, the Engineering Educator's Professional Development Program, the institutions who give it, those who give the accreditation of this program, and those who make the register of both the professional development programs and of professional engineer educators. By separating the three, we prevent any kind of corruption and we increase the level of quality guarantee in the full of the process, which, by the way, is a service-based. So it's not a for-profit oriented process, it is a service-based which guarantees the complete transparency of the system.
Что важно отметить, это тот подход, который будет и уже реализовываться в проекте Enter, где три основные направления разделены. Те, кто реализует образовательные программы, это одни организации, те, кто проводит аккредитацию данных образовательных программ, это другие организации, и те, кто ведет регистр аккредитованных программ, фактически выдает Enter Label и регистр аккредитованных педагогов инженерных дисциплин, все это три разделенные направления, три разные вида организаций. Это позволяет нам избежать конфликта интересов, избежать каких-то коррупционных составляющих, которые могли бы появиться. И нет того момента, когда мы сами обучили, сами проверили качество этого обучения и сами же внесли в реестр выпускников программ и аккредитовали эти программы. Это очень важно, и это отличает нас от многих других подобных инициатив.
Okay, but a lot of things has been written about this. So I thought that today I could bring you, when something is a bestseller, what do you do with this writing? You basically make the movie. So I would like today to try to show you, in order to make it more explicit, all the process, the movie about the Enter process. Oops. So when you look about the movie, we have to look about the actors, the participants. The participants here are clearly four structures: the educator itself, the institution who gives the courses, the accreditation agency, and of course the Enter Register.
Когда я представил вам весь этот процесс, то в виде схемы, то, может быть, этого недостаточно, и поэтому сегодня я хотела бы представить вам еще и некий фильм. Как вы понимаете, в любом фильме есть основные действующие лица и основные персонажи, и в нашем случае это педагог, это преподаватель, это организация, реализующая программу повышения квалификации, это аккредитующее агентство и это регистр Enter.
So, how does the process start? The engineer educator or the institution decide to develop at the international recognized level, higher level of pedagogical competencies of engineer educator.
Как начинается наш фильм, как начинается этот процесс? Преподаватель инженерной дисциплины или организация, в которой он работает, организация, это может быть и вуз, и другая организация, решает повысить квалификацию данного педагога на международном признаваемом уровне.
So the first option of the institution itself is to, it's called the search process. So actually, the institution goes through the inter-registered professional programs and will find all the available programs, including, of course, the iPad programs we've been developing this project, but it can be any professional engineering education professional development program. So the institution look what is available. So search the inter-register, which is again a public register, and it sees what are the high-level engineer educators professional development programs and enrolls its own educators. So this is the first option.
Так, по какому пути может пойти в данном случае, например, вуз? Он может пойти по пути поиска и в регистре Enter поискать программы повышения квалификации для преподавателей инженерных дисциплин, которые являются аккредитованы, которые признаны на международном уровне. Это могут быть разного рода программы, и в том числе это может быть и программа iPad, которую мы разрабатываем в рамках нашего проекта Enter, но не ограничено только данной программой. Это могут быть любого рода программы, которые подтвердили свое качество и свое соответствие требованиям стандартов Enter. И, значит, если институт выбрал такую программу, он записывает на нее в качестве слушателей своих преподавателей инженерных дисциплин.
Спасибо. The second option is the institution decides to build up, to develop its own engineer educators professional development program and requests an accreditation agency to accredit it upon completion. So it means that the institution decides not to send their educators to some other institutions and simply decides to develop its own.
Но в то же время наша образовательная организация может пойти по другому пути и решить разработать свою собственную программу повышения квалификации, которую бы прошли преподаватели, работающие в данной организации или другие. И после того, как программа будет реализована, будут первые выпускники запросить, представить заявку на аккредитацию данной программы.
If this is the path they follow, basically the accreditation agency must be allowed by the inter-register to perform the accreditation of professional program, which means the inter-register must review the agency processes and standards. What is this review about? The accreditation agency has its own standards, which are aligned with the inter-quality assurance standards. I should focus that the inter-quality assurance standards are by nature very broad, because each country, each agency on the country must be free to adjust these broad quality assurance standards to their own reality.
Ваша роль аккредитационного агентства и как оно отбирается. Аккредитационное агентство должно соответствовать требованиям, которые предъявляют к агентству регистр Enter. И регистр Enter должен будет проверить, насколько агентство в своих процедурах и в своих стандартах соответствует тем требованиям, которые заложены в регистре Enter. Поэтому у агентства могут быть собственные стандарты и процедуры аккредитации программ повышения квалификации преподавателей инженерных дисциплин, но они должны соответствовать тем рамочным стандартам, как раз которыми мы сейчас с вами работаем, которые разработаны в рамках Enter. И поэтому нужно отметить, что так как стандарты Enter, они рамочные, поэтому в них формулировки достаточно такие всеобъемлющие, а затем аккредитационные агентства могут уточнять данные формулировки в соответствии со своей реальностью, со своими национальными требованиями и законодательством.
So the next step is this accreditation agency, of course, will review the requested institution professional engineer development program. So the audit is performed by experts, experts like the trainees, which we are doing here during these days. So these experts will work following the agency accreditation standards and criteria, and they will look into the process, into the programs, the development programs, the professional engineering development programs, which are being put upon revision.
Следующим шагом как раз будет уже аккредитация образовательной программы, повышение квалификации. Этот этап реализуется аккредитационным агентством при помощи, при содействии экспертов аккредитационного агентства, как раз тех самых экспертов, в роли которых сегодня выступаете вы, те, кто пройдет тренинг. И задача экспертов как раз проверить, насколько образовательная программа соответствует всем тем требованиям качества, которые заложены в стандартах Enter.
So, after that, upon the positive result, the accreditation agencies accredits the institution engineer professional development program. It will request Enter to issue the accreditation certificate, which means that the certificate is not given just by the agency, but will be done upon request to Enter register to issue the Enter label.
В случае положительного решения, если программа считается аккредитованной, то аккредитационное агентство запрашивает у регистра Enter сертификат с Enter лейблом. Это значит, что не просто аккредитационное агентство выдает сертификат о прохождении аккредитации, но он имеет как раз и международное значение и подписан за двумя сторонами.
So, once they receive the label, you can see there is a big party in the institution. Everybody's happy, but more important, it means that this label, which is signed by the accreditation agency and by the Enter register, will allow this specific professional development program to be added to the Enter register, which means that also other institutions which are looking to have their own educators development can contact them in order to enroll their educators in these programs.
После того, как организация успешно прошла аккредитацию и получила сертификат об аккредитации своей программы повышения квалификации, в первую очередь, конечно, устраивается большой праздник, как вы можете видеть на слайде. А затем одно из больших достоинств той системы, которую мы предлагаем, это то, что данная программа будет внесена в регистр Enter. Это означает, что данная программа получает дополнительные возможности быть увиденной, быть привлекательной не только для слушателей своей организации, но и для внешних слушателей, так как другие образовательные учреждения, вузы в поиске программ повышения квалификации признанного международного уровня как раз могут зайти в регистр и найти в списке аккредитованных программ данную программу, связаться с ней и записать туда своих слушателей.
So, this accreditation, of course, reflects the Enter learning outcomes engineer educators pedagogical level, which for those which have been following this, especially for the trainees, you've seen there are 3 different levels, level 1, 2, and 3. So the accreditation certificate reflects which level was achieved.
Важно отметить, что при аккредитации образовательной программы также в сертификате отражается уровень компетенции, которую может достичь преподаватель инженерной дисциплины, пройдя обучение по данной программе повышения квалификации. Те из вас, кто уже хорошо ознакомился со стандартами, особенно те, кто участвует в тренинге, видели, что наши результаты обучения в соответствии с Enter разделены на 3 уровня. Вот при аккредитации этот уровень будет также виден, и в сертификате будет указано, какого именно уровня компетенции могут быть сформированы при прохождении данной программы повышения квалификации.
So, and what about the educators? Well, once the educator concludes this specific development program, he will receive a certificate which will allow him to have the verification that they completed the program. So the institution will give the educator this certificate with the specific level.
Если возвращаться к нашему основному персонажу преподавателю инженерной дисциплины, то по окончанию курса повышения квалификации, который получил аккредитацию, данный преподаватель сможет получить сертификат о прохождении подобного рода повышения квалификации, в котором также будет указан как раз тот самый уровень компетентности.
So, continuing, then the educators will take his certificates and will make a request directly, individually, to be part of the inter-registered engineer education professional list. So having this diploma is fundamental in order to be able to request this professional registration.
Получив подобный сертификат, преподаватель инженерной дисциплины сам персонально, индивидуально сможет подать свою заявку для включения в регистр Enter. Регистр Enter, который будет отображать список международно признанных профессиональных преподавателей инженерных дисциплин. Получение такого сертификата будет являться обязательным и необходимым условием для того, чтобы, в принципе, подать себя для подобного признания.
So Enter at this moment generated the new international accreditation standards and procedures for the Engineer Educators Professional Development Program, which are being used to train this first batch of experts that both IER and KAZE, for the moment, are going to use it, but other agencies are also interested in to join to this process.
Что мы имеем в Enter на сегодня? Мы как раз сформировали новые международные стандарты и процедуры для программ повышения квалификации преподавателей инженерных дисциплин. Сегодня с этими стандартами знакомятся эксперты IER и КАЗЕ, но мы уже получаем некую обратную связь от других аккредитационных агентств, которые хотели бы стать частью этой системы.
So the next movie, it's after the process. It means that during the ERAS engineering program accreditation or bachelor and masters, the accreditation agency review of the university staff, university professor is simplified. So this will be one of the consequences to be included in the ERAS accreditation agency.
Но, как у любого хорошего фильма, у нас уже задумано продолжение, и что может быть следующим шагом, это дополнительные плюсы, которые может получить высшеобразовательное учреждение, если оно получило, если преподаватели данного вуза прошли сертификацию Enter, то вуз, представляя свою программу уже бакалаврскую или магистерскую на аккредитацию ERAS, сможет получить.
So our next work will be about generating the new international individual accreditation procedures for the professional engineer educators register, which means the individual part to be accomplished in order to get all of this work done. So thank you all for attending, and of course Ksenia for helping to translate this to Russian. So any questions, any comments? I think we'll have time to discuss this after a small break, isn't it, Irina?
Yes, that's true. And now, thank you, Jose, for such a very interesting and very structural presentation, which demonstrates everything step by step in a very easily understandable way. And thank you, Ksenia, for translation, for interpretation for the trainees and all the people for whom it will be better to see everything in Russian, because sometimes we have mismatching of terms, definitions, and so on. But what you did was very important. Thank you once again. So now the next 5 minutes break, and we will be back in 5 minutes. It will be.
But please have a look at the request of Yura. Yura has made a very beautiful request.
Okay, very good, Jose Carlos. At very ambitious aims, and I wish to get it.
Of course.
Naturally, I will help all of you and you to get it.
Thank you very much, Yuri. Thank you very much. So let's do the break. Go for caffeine, go for whatever drugs you want, hopefully legal ones. And we'll start the discussion on this after the break, okay?
Yeah, thank you. See you after the break.